This video is going to be about my first read of the year, Alive. If you've been hanging around my account long enough, then you might know there's a couple reasons why this story interests me. Alive is written by an English author about the, at times, tragic survival story of a Uruguayan plane that went down in the Andes in 1972. What makes it so astounding is that under insurmountable odds, a plane crash that left 45 missing ended up with 16 coming home after surviving in hostile environments, the snow-covered mountains, for nearly 3 months. I love reading things that I'm afraid about, which includes extreme elements, survival stories, extreme heights, extreme cold, and extreme circumstances you need to take in order to live. This is a pretty famous story, so much so that it was recently remade into a movie. This isn't the first narrative that I read about this. After hearing how they overcame everything, how they literally scaled a mountain in order to get out. Like I said, it's a story that I've been hyper focused on, and I tend to read anything out there. Remember how I said towards the beginning that this is an English author, but the location would indicate that this is actually about a group of Spanish-speaking people. Of the different books I've read, I would actually rank this at the bottom because it places a lot of emphasis on one of the more sensational aspects about how they survived. As the plane went down in the mountains, there was actually not a lot of food source. Whatever they could scrounge around, which was just a couple bottles of liquor, some snacks, they divided amongst themselves. But after the initial plane crash and then the many weeks in which they were stranded, they started to lose people. And the location was so remote that they didn't have any other things to eat. So they did what they had to in order to survive, and that was consume those who had already been deceased. Out of all the books I've read about this author really hones in on that aspect. It goes into so much detail, what they consumed, how they broke down the different bodies, the difficulties when it comes from everything being frozen and not really having any tools for their actual purposes. The way this author goes in on that, as someone who's read tons of horror and other horrific true crime stories of people intentionally consuming others, it was very sensational, and it kind of gave me the ick. You can tell that the author didn't really see this as what others have, which is a miracle in the Andes. I would say maybe if you're interested, pick it up secondhand. But if you're really interested in the story and you want my opinion, you should read Miracle in the Andes by Nando Parrado. Although he worked with someone in order to tell the story, that's right, this is from actually one of the survivors, especially because it's from the author's perspective. The things that he focuses on is more the loss of life, the family members, the friends that he lost on this flight, the fear that they felt, and how their religion helped them to make tough decisions, like doing whatever they needed in order to survive and in order to find a way off the mountain. As the first read of the year, it wasn't all that bad. I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I might have already had an opinion of how I was going to view the author and this book. Still, I would call it a success. How did y'all start off your New Year's when it comes to your reads? Did you pick a try and true subject that you knew you were going to be interested in? Or did you go with something new?